Namaste and hello, this is your Sanskrit instructor welcoming you back into video number 201, assignment number 59. Please send this assignment to mdg.sanskrit@gmail.com for credit towards the online course and for feedback. All submissions must be legibly handwritten and scanned as a PDF or sent as a picture. Your task is to translate the following English sentences into Sanskrit using the table format. But not only that, but you also need to render all of the finite verbs by the participles. So use as many participles as you can. So number one is a good example. Many women were killed. Their bodies were torn by the lion's teeth. We're going to get back to that sentence. Let us go over what other sentences need to be translated. We have number two, abundant food was given to the poor children. We have three, people honored, puj, by fools have always been laughed at by intelligent men. Number four, the necklace fell from the bride's hand and the pearls were scattered. Number five, they ate their meal and slept. Number six, the victorious enemies entered the city by force. Number seven was, the path was obstructed with fallen trees. Number eight, our men crossed the river, fought like heroes, and seized the leader of the enemies. Number nine, the place was measured, fuel was brought, and the darkness suddenly shone with light. And number 10, you forgave my offense. I want to go back to number one to use as an example. It's a good example for the instructions that are being given. So as you can see, I already have my notes written here. So many women were killed, their bodies were torn by the lion's teeth. So in the left column here, many women were killed, their bodies were torn by the lion's teeth. I reworded it in a way where I have many women were killed, and then bodies were torn by the teeth of the lion. I figured that there doesn't need to be necessary, but if you want to include that pronoun, you can by all means by using the genitive case. So let's start on the first word, many. So many comes from the word prabhuta. That's an adjective. But since the word women, nari, is feminine and many is describing a feminine noun, prabhuta needs to be feminine, nominative, and plural, just like how women is a feminine noun ending in long e and is nominative and plural. So prabhuta needs to be declined to like lata, because an adjective that ends in a, to make that feminine, you have to decline it like lata. So feminine, nominative, plural for both of them. So you end up with prabhutaha naryaha. Then we have the word were killed. So han is the root word to kill. It's in the second conjugation. Now, the instructions were to render all the finite verbs by participles. Now, this could have been used as a participle. The only thing is that many women were killed. If you're using a participle, that means it has to be declined. And if it has to be declined, that means it has to be declined like the feminine, so that it can agree with many women that were killed. The problem is that we did not learn how to decline participles in the feminine gender yet. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to use the verb in the passive imperfect tense. So passive mood, imperfect tense. So this needs to be third person plural because many women were killed. And then you end up with anhan yanta. The anta is showing the third person plural for atmanepadi or middle voice. And then for the imperfect case ending, the imperfect termination ending, and then the is indicating the imperfect tense, and then the ya in ahanyanta is indicating the passive mood, the passive voice. Now we have the word bodies. So nominative, bodies is nominative plural, neuter noun ending in a. You end up with sharirani. So the reason why this is neuter is because it's kind of treated like a sentence on its own. Many women were killed. Semicolon. Bodies were torn by the teeth of the lion. They can both be separate sentences. So that's why bodies is in the nominative plural. And so bodies were torn. To tear is dri. And this is when, because we learned how to decline participles in the masculine and neuter and the neuter genders, we can use the participle for this. So were torn, dri, to tear. So this needs to describe the word bodies. Bodies were torn. So bodies were was in the neuter gender. So we have to make sure that the perfect passive participle, this is perfect passive because the phrase is were torn. Were indicating the passive, torn past tense indicating the perfect passive participle, neuter gender because the bodies is neuter. So since it is neuter, this perfect passive participle needs to be declined like vanam. This also has to be nominative plural because bodies was declined in the nominative plural case. So this ends up being dirnani. Dirna is the perfect passive participle, and then you add your case ending for vanam, like as if you were declining vanam. Then you have the word by the teeth, that is dantaha originally. Danta is a masculine noun ending in a. By the teeth, so by is going to indicate that this needs to be an instrumental, more than one tooth, plural. So you end up with dantaiha. Then of the lion, this should be genitive singular. Sinha is a masculine noun ending in a, so you end up with sinhasya. After putting all of the words together, taking a look at all of the words that was translated, then I put them in the order that I desire. So you have, originally I had prabhutaha naryaha ahanyanta sharirani sinhasya dantaiha. So when a visarg is preceded by a long a and followed by a soft consonant, that visarg is going to be dropped. The visarg in naryaha, that is going to go away. So when a visarg is preceded by an a and followed by an a, that visarg turns into an o while the following a is being elided. Then I didn't see any other sandhi rule that applies. I may or may not be mistaken, because sometimes sandhis are hard to identify. But with the sandhis that were pointed out, we have, by making the correction, we have prabhuta, naryo hanyanta, sharirani, sinhasya dantaiha. That's sharirani, sinhasya dantaiha. So this is the final answer with the sandhi rules applied. Don't forget to see when you can use a present, when you can use a participle and when you cannot, especially when you're dealing with a feminine noun. And with that, this is your Sanskrit instructor signing off with a namaste.